want you to hit me as hard as you can.
When I think of the 90s, I think of how everything had to be extreme, Lisa Loeb, people making you feel guilty about getting high, and rejection. Oh wait, you meant in pop culture. Oh yeah, I was joking. That's what I was doing. Well, in that case, I think of questionable commercials, useless products, and horror. Yes, starting in the early 90s, the children's horror scene began to gain steam, and I was all over it. Whether it was through books, cartoons, or video games, the 90s began to take huge leaps forward in the budding genre of children's horror. Now everyone always talks about how Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps had a huge impact on this genre, and I am not denying that. I loved Are You Afraid of the Dark, and I thought the few episodes I've seen of Goosebumps were good. But for me, there was one show that was the first to spark the curiosity of the weird and scary: Eerie Indiana. Eerie Indiana ran from 1991 to 1992 on NBC. And even though no one saw it at the time, it gained such a cult following in reruns that it was brought back with a sequel that is pretty much unwatchable. But those of us who saw the original series know that nothing can or has come close to its unique quality. It's hard to compare this show to any other. At best, you could say it's like Twin Peaks meets the X-Files meets the Twilight Zone, and even then, that's only a fraction of what this show is. But does this show live up through our nostalgia-colored glasses? Can such a beloved show come back from the dead? And why is Elvis your neighbor? Let us find out in this special Halloween episode of Gone But Not Forgotten. Eerie Indiana originally aired on NBC in 1991 and lasted only 19 episodes. Just one season, and not even a full 22 episode order. But yet, it had a huge impact on kids. The show was created by playwright and future Motorcycle Diaries screenwriter Jose Rivera, and writer/producer Carl Schaefer, who went on to produce shows that I still love like Strange Luck, The Dead Zone, and Eureka, and who is currently producing Z Nation. But the one person who was involved in this show that you can tell had a big influence on it was Joe freaking Dante. Yes, legendary director Joe Dante, who directed one of my favorite films. No, but that is a classic. No, I mean, come on! Really? Seriously, that's what you think? There you go. Dante directed some of my favorite episodes of Eerie, and you can really feel his touch on them. Other famous directors of the show included Bob Balaban and Tom Holland. No, not that Tom Holland. Jesus, this Tom Holland. You may not know his name, well, his name, but Holland is a veteran TV director and writer who's worked on some great shows. I personally love a show he created called Wonder Falls. No one knows about it other than me and a few people in the comments below, but if you're curious, please check it out. You will not be disappointed. But I'm getting off track. Eerie Indiana was a show that starred Omri Katz as Marshall Teller, a boy who has recently moved with his family from New Jersey to the small town of Eerie, Indiana, where Marshall soon learns that Eerie is the center of weird, with bizarre characters and occurrences that cannot be explained, and only Marshall being able to see the strange and weird things that reside in his town. Along with his sidekick Simon, Marshall catalogs his evidence and follows his quest to find the source of the strange occurrences in Eerie. Now here's what made Eerie stand out. At a surface level, this looks like a pretty straightforward plot. A kid in a weird supernatural town. But if you look deeper, it's actually something more clever than that. Think about it. Marshall is a kid who has lived most of his life in New Jersey and has now moved to a small town where he has to adjust to a whole new reality. Now as a kid, whenever you move someplace new, those first few months, and for some folks maybe even the first year, felt so weird. People dress and speak and think differently than you have ever experienced. And of course, you're going to think that you're in the Twilight Zone. The show was perfectly cast, beginning with Omri Katz as Marshall Teller. Katz is mostly known nowadays for his starring role in the Halloween Disney classic Hocus Pocus, and was actually picked out by Dante himself after Rivera and Schaefer originally wanted to cast a different actor, but Dante insisted that Omri could carry the show, and he was right. Omri was convincing in his sincere portrayal of a young kid who's just trying to solve a puzzle so big and scary that it could frustrate anybody to the point of insanity. I wish that Omri could have gone on to have a bigger career, but that was not in the cards, which is a real shame because he deserves so much better. Simon was played by Justin Shankaro, and man was this kid my favorite character. You couldn't help but fall in love with Simon. He was loyal, he had a big heart, and he always had your back. Simon was the type of friend that you always dreamed of having as a kid. Plus, he liked the Carpenters.
And promises, a kiss for luck, and we're on our way. We've only just begun.
Rock on, Simon. Rock on. To round out the cast, we had Marshall's family. His dad, Edgar Teller, played by Francis Guinan, his mother, Marilyn Teller, played by Mary Margaret Humes, and his sister, Cindy Marie Priscilla Teller, played by the gorgeous Julie Condra. Since the family wasn't the focus of the show, they were pretty much window dressing. We only saw them through Marshall's eyes, his mom too smothering, his dad too nerdy, and his sister too annoying. That's another thing. Since we saw the family through Marshall's eyes, there are a lot of episodes where Marshall feels the end of the world is near if he doesn't fix a minor problem. For example, my favorite episode of the show was called The Losers. In it, the suitcase of Marshall's dad goes missing with a sample of some experimental food substitute. Marshall's dad is upset that he lost the sample, which causes his mom to get angry at him for being more upset about losing the sample than the briefcase itself, which she bought him as a gift. So Marshall goes on a quest to find it, because he believes that his parents' marriage will fall apart if he doesn't, since they are so mad at each other. And he winds up stumbling upon the Bureau of Lost Things, a mysterious agency that steals things that we all assume we lose. God, I love this episode so much, mostly because I wound up yelling, "I knew it!" over and over again. Here are some examples of those moments.
I have a list of things the head office wants misplaced ASAP.
Shoe. Contact lenses. Boat anchors. Horseshoes. World Series tickets. Ballpoint pen caps. Seems like we never get enough of those, huh?
Pacemaker batteries.
Pacemaker batteries? Oh.
There's no room for pity in this business.
Now, I know there are probably similar episodes of different shows that came out afterwards. Who knows, maybe even before with similar plots. But the explanation on why this department even exists is just genius.
Well, what do you call it then?
What do I call it? I call it helping the economy is what I call it. I'm a certified misappropriation engineer.
How do you figure you're helping the economy?
Imagine what would happen if people never lost anything. Well, they'd hang on to their old belongings until they wore out. And they'd go and probably do something silly like have them fixed.
So what's wrong with that?
Oh, what's wrong? Nothing. Nothing if you don't mind a stagnating economy.
My God, this makes perfect sense! I've never seen an episode featuring this kind of plot, which gives a believable reason as to why this type of organization would even exist. Not to mention there are some great Easter eggs here, but I'll only point out one because I don't want to ruin it for you. Look! Right there! It's the pod from the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers! I also love this joke that has nothing to do with the rest of the episode about the town's infamous biker gang known as the Unkind Ones.
Let's get on the front street! Saw a sign there for a lost puppy.
Oh God, I love this show. Oh, and before you ask, no, that's not Joe Manganiello. This is what Manganiello looked like in the year 2002. But yeah, there are Easter eggs all over these episodes. Some are very obvious, like in the first episode where Marshall meets these two twins who have been kept young by their mother since the 1950s by placing them in magic Tupperware. Just go with it, it's eerie, and the names of the twins are Bertram and Ernest. That's right, Bert and Ernie. There are also some really deep cuts, like how the school they go to is named after B.F. Skinner, an eponymous psychologist who was a pioneer in studying human behavior. Man, what a deep cut. Another thing I loved about the show was the clever way they taught kids moral lessons. Unlike a lot of kids shows, Eerie did not talk down to their audience, no matter how young they were, as demonstrated in one of my other favorite episodes, the ATM with the Heart of Gold. In this episode, an artificially intelligent ATM becomes Simon's friend, after Simon wanders around the street at night while his parents are constantly fighting. The ATM, which goes by the name of Mr. Wilson, befriends Simon and begins to give him money, which the boy uses to buy things for himself and treat the cool kids to ice cream and other expensive gifts. Marshall soon discovers that Mr. Wilson is giving Simon all this money from the town of Eerie, causing the town to go bankrupt. But Simon doesn't want to believe that the other kids only want to be his friend just because he has money. When Marshall asks Simon's new friend to say Simon's name, it can't remember.
No, really. What's his real name?
Hey, I don't know.
I forgot too, man.
This slipped my mind.
Ah, don't worry, Simon. You don't need to be friends with that street rat.
Riff-raff, street rat. I don't buy that. If only they'd look closer.
The episode ends with them giving the money back to Mr. Wilson. And I won't lie, guys, this scene made me choke up.
I'm sorry.
Wait, Simon, you can't do this to me! Simon! Simon! I thought we were friends.
You don't have to give me money to be your friend.
Wait! Simon! Why are you hurting me like this, Simon?
It's a great message about how you can't buy friends. There are a lot of episodes like this, but I won't talk about all of them because a lot of the fun of the show is going into it with no knowledge about what's about to happen. I'll just say that The Broken Record, The Lost Hour, and Heart on a Chain are must-watch episodes. There were also a few guest stars in this series that were surprising, like Scott Weinger, and one of my many childhood crushes, Nikki Cox. God, I envied Marshall so much for being able to kiss her. And then there's this guy. Freaking Spider-Man? Tobey Maguire? I was floored when I saw him in this episode, where he plays the ghost of a teenager who fell in love with a girl back in the 1930s, but died before he could deliver a letter declaring his love for her. So he enlists Marshall and Simon to deliver the letter for him, but she's old and bitter from never being able to be with him, and thinks they are playing a prank on her, so she kicks them out of her house. Marshall tells Spidey Ghost that she didn't want to read the letter, and he does not take it well. Oh, grow a pair, Parker! But I know you can figure out the ending from here. It's a straightforward episode, not one of the best, but it's just funny to see young Tobey Maguire giving it his all in one of his first roles. Around episode 11, the network began to interfere with the direction of the show, even though they had ordered the creators to make the show appropriate to children as young as 2 years old. Believe it or not, Carl Schaefer had a child psychologist review each episode, explaining, quote, "I tried to balance the moral center of the episode and the point of the episode so that they can put up with the scariness along the way." But then NBC told Schaefer and Rivera that they wanted to expand the focus of the show and make it appeal more to adults. They were interested in adding characters a little weirder than the producers were pursuing. The creators changed the premise of the show a little, adding Dash X, a new, weirder character, and John Astin as Mr. Radford, who served as a sort of adult mentor for the kids. I think it was when Dash X was introduced that the show began to suffer. Dash was played by Jason Marsden, who went on to become a famous voice actor, voicing some classic characters from our childhood. Dash was set up as an antagonist to Marshall. He just appeared in Eerie with no memory of who he was, with the symbols of plus and minus on his hands. Dash was aggressive towards Marshall for no real reason. I wasn't too fond of him. I felt he was too much of a distraction from the main point of the show, and the show began to become geared towards a kid Twin Peaks type of show. I'm sure it could have been turned around had it been given the chance. However, the last episode was fun, and the most meta episode ever, where Marshall wakes up on the set of Eerie, Indiana. much to his confusion. And everyone calls him Omri, the actual actor's real name. It's pretty funny to see these actors playing exaggerated versions of themselves. Plus, Joe Dante plays the director, which is awesome. Growing Pains actually did an episode with this exact same premise, and what's surprising is that that episode came out a month before this episode. Either way, it's a neat finale to the series. So as always, we ask, why did this show get cancelled? Well, the time slot did it no favors, as it was aired on Sundays at 7:30 p.m. opposite 60 Minutes. Yeah, that makes sense. Kids have complete control over the TV when 60 Minutes is on, and when the rerun started, it was bounced all over the place. For me, the show came on at 7 a.m. on Saturdays, and as a kid, I didn't watch shows until 8 a.m. at the earliest. Growing up in the early 90s and late 80s, if you watched any cartoons or kid shows on the weekends, you knew that the earlier the show, the crappier it would be. Although looking back, I just didn't appreciate cartoons being shown that early, like Rocky and Bullwinkle. They were not cartoons I was used to watching. Now that I'm an adult, I see what made them special, and admire how they were the trailblazers of modern animation. But yeah, you had a better chance of seeing Swan's Crossing than Eerie, Indiana. What the fuck is Swan's Crossing, you ask? Well, look it up. The other thing is that the show was shot on film rather than video, which made it more expensive to make. Also, NBC didn't have any idea how to promote the show, and tried pairing it off with another show called The Torkelsons. Do you guys remember The Torkelsons? Yeah, I don't either. So should the show come back? Okay, let's talk about it. So a lot of you have gotten mad at me for my opinions in the past. Now there are times in the past where I've made jokes about these shows and movies. Some I do hate, some I hate 50% of the time, and some I think are just meh. But I think it's funny to tap into the nerd rage. But I am going to be 100% honest here. If you like the sequel, Eerie, Indiana, The Other Dimension, then you need to reevaluate your life. I despise this show. I think this show is a pile of donkey shit. I think that if I had the money, I would pull an Avi Arad and, like he did with Roger Corman's Fantastic Four, buy the negatives and destroy them. Now what the hell is Eerie, Indiana, The Other Dimension? Well, you're better off not knowing, but if you insist. In the late 90s, both Disney and Fox Kids began to air reruns of Eerie, Indiana, and it proved to be a huge hit. Fox went to Joe Dante and asked him to bring back the show, but Dante told them that it was too late, as Omri and Justin were too old to reprise their roles. So Fox went to Canada, cast some inexperienced child actors, shot it on video, threw some vomit against the wall, and called that a script. Joe Dante said that this show was unwatchable, and he was spot on, because I tried. I really tried. But I could only get through one episode. Okay, that's not true. I got through 2.5 episodes. It was bad. So bad. It was torture. It's clearly made by people who either didn't see the show or just read the synopsis of the original series, because this series starts in the Eerie, Indiana of Another Dimension, a normal town where two kids who grew up together realize that a crazy cable guy from the original series, who by the way we never show, creates a portal between both of these dimensions, and this Eerie becomes infected with weirdness. Hence, the rest of the series is about these two boring kids who experience the new weirdness in their version of Eerie. It does not even grasp the nature of the original show. Eerie, Indiana needs to come back not just because it was great, but because it needs to wipe out the other dimension from existence. Christ, Thanos needs to go back to this dimension and snap his fucking fingers. So how can this show come back when they've already tried it and failed miserably? Well, I can tell you exactly how. We have a new kid move to Eerie, where she meets another kid, and the two of them discover how strange this town is. This is where they learn that Marshall Teller and Simon have disappeared, after they stumble upon their collection and diary. Now they not only have to catalog the weirdness, but also try to find out what happened to Marshall and Simon. That sounds a million times better than what we got before, right? Eerie, Indiana proved to be very influential to a lot of shows over the years, the most famous of which is Disney Channel's Gravity Falls. So you can thank Joe Dante, Jose Rivera, and Carl Schaefer for that. And if you're interested in this show yourself, you can watch it for free on Amazon Prime, as of this recording. So this Halloween, put on your inappropriate costume, sit your ass down, turn on your computer, TV, or phone, and embrace the weird.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For a monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise, he did the monster